This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
This is episode 144 on the 18th of December 2019. A change in one's lifestyle influence and lessen the impact of climate change. Solution to one's lifestyle changes are drastic and dramatic. One of the solutions includes not using airplanes because airplanes use a lot of carbon emissions, and in airplanes, specifically the business class for long journeys, because a lot of energy is used to cater to the needs of 7 to 8 individuals compared to the needs of 300 individuals in the coach, or what one likes to call the economy class. Well, I disagree with this. If it's a long journey and if an individual can afford it, then they have the right to take the business or the first class. And if somebody has to lead by example, then it has to be led by the head of governments, that is the presidents and prime ministers, who have to lead by example, and they have to give up traveling in convoys where the security vehicles are more than the number of vehicles an individual can afford. Then if you look at the inside of the plane they use to travel, it's a mirror image of their flying office. For example, the US Air Force One is the mirror image, or what one can call the flying Oval Office. Similarly, in other countries where the respective head of government offices are, the planes they are given for traveling are not exactly environment friendly, and if the heads of government can use these transportation methods to travel, then why can't an individual who can afford to use first class do it? And why should we tell individuals not to use first class while traveling? Keep using the word reduce carbon footprints. Shift to renewable sources of energy like hydroelectricity or solar energy. In the same way, we should stop wearing clothes. The production of a simple t-shirt or whatever one wears, production of one's apparel, the t-shirt, the jeans and other clothing material that one is so proud of, also goes through a lot of production stages, including using a lot of carbon footprint. So shouldn't one stop wearing clothes and be unclothed all the time? We have created this psychosis of climate energy, and the solutions that are being given to reduce this impact of climate change doesn't seem to be logical. One solution that has been given to reduce this carbon footprint, which is not at all practical, is changing the pattern of vehicle use, such as ride sharing and car sharing, and the use of smaller vehicles. While the use of smaller vehicles still makes sense, car sharing and ride sharing is not practical all the time. For example, if you have two individuals working in different parts of the city, then this ride sharing and car sharing idea doesn't seem practical. Yes, the solution would be to use public transport, but what if public transport has been shut down due to some reason, or trains are running late? Public transport is a good solution but not a reliable solution. Nowhere in the world are public transport vehicles such as trains and buses running on time. They are often delayed, and can one individual afford to be delayed to one's college or work? Time might be an artificial construct, but it still exists. And just because a couple of decades ago, or even 4 to 5 decades ago, individuals were not concerned about reaching their workplace or institutions like schools and colleges on time, it doesn't mean that the contemporary world wants to follow that same habit. The question of overuse of electricity. If that's the concern, then one should go back to using lamps and candles in our houses. What's the need to live in brick constructed houses? Why don't we live in tents and go back to our roots by living in jungles among animals? To influence people to reduce such carbon emissions and use energy efficient materials. Let's start with reducing the convoys of the prime ministers and presidents. Let them lead by examples. Instead of traveling in cars, use horses as a source of transportation like it used to happen all those years ago. Blaming the current generation or blaming individuals over the past 5 years for the drastic effects climate change is bringing or will bring upon us is not the right way to go about things. By giving ridiculous defense that 30 to 40 years ago, people were simple and used public transport and did not have too much of a materialism in their blood is also a wrong way of thinking. And the irony is, on one side, we are promoting technology so that we don't use physical products. On the other hand, we are blaming this technology and the overuse and the abuse of this technology for climate change. The entire conversation about climate change is seeped in hypocrisy. The very individuals who are concerned about climate change waste precious time by holding conferences all over the world, utilizing precious resources. If these conferences wanted to lead by example, then the first thing they should have done was, instead of holding conferences in bigger rooms and with lights on, they should have held the conferences outside on the streets with candles and kerosene lamps. Then probably individuals would have understood what is the message being passed. Otherwise, this entire exercise of being concerned about climate change is nothing short of being a hypocrite. It's a dilemma if one doesn't use technologies such as phones and tablets and computers, then we say that they have not adapted to the contemporary times. And if we use too much of it, then we say that you are contributing to climate change and polluting the environment by being over reliant on this technology. Both sides and individual is feeling the pressure whether to use or not to use. Electricity is a resource meant to be used. It's just how we use it judiciously. These climate conferences want to lead by example, then they should start using horses and bullock carts as a source of transportation for local transportation, and for international travel, ships as a source of transportation, even if it takes 2 to 3 days to reach the required destination. Good news for the IITs, as we see global companies demand students from such prestigious institutes. But there are two things to it. One, the idea that one goes to a college or such a specialized university only to become a job producing factory is the most negative aspect of what is the understanding of school and college. Why is there so much excitement about surge in global offers? We are presuming that fresh graduates from such technology institutes will just walk into a global firm and become the CEO or general manager straight away. Well, that is not going to happen. What is going to happen is that when fresh graduates who are being offered jobs all over the globe won't straight away walk into a situation where they are offered a managerial position. They will have to slog it out day after day. They will be at the lowest end of any job spectrum. Companies won't care what institute are you from. If you're not able to do the job you are supposed to do, that is in your profile. Shelter that a college offers will no longer exist. There will be no one to complain to either. While we are getting excited because there are global offers coming, the reality of the situation will hit these students who get these offers, because there won't be any holidays, no Saturdays or Sundays, no relaxing time. They will have to work all the time. They may have to work overtime to earn their wares. If they are traveling outside, the harsh reality of living in that environment will come back to them when they won't be living in their own apartment. They will have to share the apartment with 7 or 8 individuals. The fact that this news is only about the global offers, IITs or IIM, it means that this is an insult to other domains. Getting an offer in hand and a high salary cannot be a moment of pride. It is a moment of shame that we associate institutions with only jobs and nothing more, and that for us the only institution from where an individual can get a good offer is either an IIT or a IIM. It means that other domains are not good enough to get you placed, and that is the first question on a student's mind when they graduate from these institutes. So the message here is, don't be a writer, don't be a teacher, don't be in the broadcast journalism domain. Just become an engineer and you will get your offers in millions. Other domains will give you peanuts. This is the message that is being sent through this particular news report. Working for others is nothing more than slavery, and there is no room for creativity. This is the message I see in this report. About being respected in a false manner. If the future is all about slavery, getting excited by petty things such as job offers, then I don't want to be part of this mindset and culture. The combination of Kuldeep and Chahal play. This combination, also weirdly known as Kulcha, not played together for a while because the team wanted to have a combination where they could have a longish batting lineup both in the 20 over and the 50 over matches, which is a combination I endorse. If the team management wants both Kuldeep and Chahal to play, then they have to start grooming Kuldeep as the potential all-rounder, because Chahal will not come anywhere before number 10. One could argue that we did miss the Kulcha combination in the first one-day match, but West Indies had their own luck when they chased their target of 290 runs. So even if both of them are playing, it may or may not have made any difference. If we are worried about having a second spinner, then why don't we get back the other Ravichandran Ashwin to play? If we want a good quality leg spinner who can also bat, then what about Piyush Chawla, and why is he not playing now? Why has he gone out of favor as far as the team management, the selectors are concerned? Now, did we miss Yuzvendra Chahal in the previous match? When you lose the match, one will always say that the bowling combination was not right. But had we won the match, then we would have said this is a very good combination consisting of all-rounders and a good spinner. Now the fact that the match is lost, it's only a 3-match series, pressure shifts to the Indian team, though in my book there is no pressure. Look at the teams who have spinners in their ranks. These very spinners are also good batters. If the team management decides to play both Kuldeep and Chahal, then who is the player that is going to miss out? By logic, they may go for Shivam Dube, as he did not contribute much in the previous match. He went for 60 runs in his 8 overs, and while batting, not much of contribution came from him. So he may be the first one to go. This will drastically and tragically upset the balance because the team will not have a third fast bowler. If they want to keep a third fast bowler in Shivam Dube and yet get Chehel, then Jada may be the logical person to be left out. That means Jadeja will be promoted at number 6. And then the question will be, is the middle order weak when it comes to defending or chasing a score if the top 3 or 4 individuals don't contribute? They can't leave out Rishabh Pant after his memorable performance in the last match. For me, these matches are all about experimentation and looking forward beyond the likes of MS Dhoni and Shikhar Dhawan. And if the team needs to do the pertinent and specific changes for a specific match, then let them do it without questioning the need for this particular experiment. So we should refrain from using the word experiment if we do not understand the etymology of what experiment means. Also refrain from using the term a team in transition because that is insulting to the players who are trying to establish their legacy, which is separated from the individuals who retired decades ago and to whom the comparisons are being made without any logic or thought. One of the differences between Pant and Dhoni is that when Dhoni came as a young person, as a young player to the team, he had no benchmark to fall upon. There were no keepers specifically whom he had to emulate or do one better than. Parthiv Patel and Dinesh Karthik had done something for the team, but they had not established that kind of legacy. In that case, for someone like Dhoni, it was a fresh start and the opportunity to reset and establish the idea of a wicket keeper in India. Few individuals will argue that before Dhoni, before Karthik, before Parthiv Patel, there were a few wicket keepers who came and contributed to the team. For me, these individuals did not even contribute 5% of the team as a player, as a keeper, and as a batter. When one talks about a wicket keeper in India, the first name that will always come to an individual's mind is Dhoni because the kind of impact he had, the kind of respect he gave to the idea of a keeper which the previous individuals could never give. As far as Pant is concerned, he has always been compared to Dhoni as a keeper and as a batter. But for me, it's time for us to forget and stop comparing Pant and Dhoni. Not because Pant and Dhoni are two different individuals, but Pant is here trying to create his own legacy. And Pant can become the best keeper in the world. Or when we talk about who are the two of the best wicket keepers at this point in time in the Indian team, with due respect to individuals like Sanju Samson or Ishan Kishan and others who are still not getting a chance in the team, which is a policy I have not understood at this point in time. The individuals who have played for the team, apart from Karthik and Parthiv Patel, it's Dhoni and Pant. Even Riddhiman Saha does not count in the category of great keepers. He may have pulled off a few good catches, but as far as batting goes, his contribution doesn't even exceed 0.1%. And if a keeper can't contribute with the bat, then their legacy doesn't work for me. The first match, Pant's 71 may have unshackled the chains he was chained to when he was being constantly compared to Dhoni. Now we will stop thinking about Dhoni and start concentrating on Pant. At the same time, making sure that someone like an Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson also get an equal chance in the team without disturbing the very core of the team. India's schedule for the 2020 Olympic Games has been announced as far as the hockey leg of it is concerned, and looking at the teams they have to face in that tournament, they have already been put off that India has zero chance because they are going to face world champions like Netherlands, Australia, Great Britain, New Zealand, Spain, Japan, Argentina. Looking at the schedule, it is a golden opportunity for both the men's and women's team to shut the critics once and forever and make hockey great again. The teams do well against such world champions or defending champions. Well, one doesn't know what will happen on that particular day, but to call it off even before the tournament has started is a negative element that we need to remove from our minds by saying that the hockey teams have no chance against such world champions is a very negative mindset that we are putting ourselves into, and by just putting off the team that you are going there for the sake of the performance, and even if they manage to reach the knockout rounds, nobody will even think about it. And one doesn't need a movie like Chak De India to revive the interest in hockey, because we know that a movie like Chak De India was never about the hockey team, nor was it about women empowerment. Irrespective of the results in the Olympic tournament, especially for the hockey teams, for me, these are the best hockey teams to have ever played the game. While a few fanatics and emotional individuals will disagree with this and say that the teams of 70s and 80s were better because the World Cup trophy and an Olympic gold in their cabinet, but the sheer talent of this current hockey team and the rules which are now part of the hockey. For example, one can only score a goal from the D and not outside of it, makes it even more difficult for the players to score. And if such rules had been a part in the 70s and 80s, then probably India would have never won a hockey World Cup nor even secured a goal. So the rules also have an influence on how the sport is played. It's a misrepresentation of facts when we say that athletes play for the love of the sport and the love of the nation which they represent. Well, this is not at all true. Athletes only play to secure their legacy as well as to keep the money flowing in their bank accounts so that they can provide for their families. This was episode 144 on the 18th of December. Stay tuned for the next episode.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
Please send your valuable suggestions through your comments and audio recording to the email ID adityathewriter@gmail.com. You can also like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and Facebook page, and stay tuned for the next episode.